Previously on Among the Dust.
Whips past your head and goes into a pot.
So he comes stomping towards me. He's like a big lizard man.
You can see this battle glove.
Oh no, kind of weave out the way.
The young boy sidles right up behind Sifell. She almost just stumbles to the ground to avoid
All
it.
that crackling energy shoves him straight in the chest.
Dex can still fire.
What a measly fire.
Stay down. We will deal with this momentarily.
Okay. The data pad just skitters a few feet away from them.
Blood. I have it. Forget it. Get the Lashunta. Found you.
Lands between the eyes.
Get the data pad, just store it in my mouth.
I'm going to cast Stabilize.
None of this was your fault, Sifell.
Team, we just keep firing.
Pick her up and put her on his shoulders.
We need to move.
And now.
Hastily, you rush through the streets of the ring, leaving the chaos of the free markets behind you. Already, you hear the commanding sounds of authority as some sort of first response has arrived at the scene to investigate. Station security? Stewards? Abadar Corp priests? You don't stay long enough to find out. The hard part is over, but the mission is not yet complete. As you continue racing through, you soon see the first indication that you've hit the eye. A view of the enormous dome encompassing the top of Absalom Station, allowing natural sunlight to beat down upon the upper-class district. The second indication is the greenery. Trees, open fields. Jatembe Park, as it's known, is full of tourists who are too busy admiring the view, or each other, to take much note of the four of you. And as you near the edge of the park itself, you see it. Out from the personification of life into the embodiment of death. The Eoxian Embassy. Like most Eoxian architecture, a foreboding structure, its appearance more like the idea of an ancient religious temple having a skeleton, but without presenting fragility. Not to say anything of the deep red lights originating from within the open windows. And that is where you step in front of as you presumably enter the structure itself.
If nothing impedes us from doing so.
I like to think that we maybe take not a huge beat, but like as we kind of like near the steps, we like there's a beat where we all stop and look at the opposing structure and the red light like washes over our party and we're holding this woman.
Oh, I can. Zahak can hold.
Yeah,
Just
Zahak's holding this
Yeah.
this woman, and there's perhaps like a stealing of ourselves because the Eoxians have a less than savory reputation. But I don't know if we say anything before we just plunge in.
No.
Yeah.
It's just feeling the silence of what comes next.
You head forward through to what is a gigantic archway, double doors, metal as they just open up, and you step forth into what feels like, at least to begin with, a large amphitheater. It still maintains that kind of stone and bone, as I will call it. It's a kind of structure, very skeletal, very clinical, but still very dead and very silent. You've got pillars that kind of line rows, and you can see, after a couple of seconds of nothingness, out from one of the side doors, it's about 50 meters down, two more doors swing open, and a bunch, and by bunch I mean about 4 or 5 what you know to be Elebrian necrovites to be exact, to give an indication of Eoxians and to talk a little bit about why they perhaps have some of the perceived unsavory thoughts about them.
I was going to ask Sean, is this maybe an opportunity for one of
To
us to
do
roll
your things.
a culture,
yeah.
roll? I'm thinking.
Well,
because I know Ellen's character is a what are you, Ellen?
Xenoseeker.
Xenoseeker. So I was thinking like maybe you'd have the best knowledge of this.
I have life science.
I was going to say there's no because cultures.
I have +6 in culture as a space.
Yeah.
And
Let's-
as someone who's very interested in other cultures.
Let's go with culture. Actually, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
culture's good because
I
if
would love
you're,
to
if
roll
you're
it
looking
too.
specifically for a person, I'd look at, say, life science or mysticism, depending on what they are. But because we're just looking about the race in total, let's go with the culture roll.
Yeah, and if anyone does a really good role, they could relay it to us in their unique way.
I feel like Clink and Art are a bit of a similar interests anyway, so even if they like fill in each other's
11.
6.
Yeah. You're,
6 as well.
yeah. So this is more so for the people at home, and I'll talk about
Get a very broad stroke as an 11. Yeah, very broad.
Basically, like Alibrians, and this part of it is common knowledge. Alibrians or people from Eox are undead. That is pretty much anyone from Eox were called Alibrians. Long story short, you're aware that at some point some massive weapon was used that basically created untold destruction to the planet, which created the diaspora, which is a bunch of floating rocks in the great beyond. And the people that inhabited Eox, in lieu of leaving the planet to be able to survive within that particular planet's atmosphere, they turned to necromancy. And they created themselves as undead, which in and of itself gives people pause to look unkindly towards them, if not just distrust them.
They turned their dead world into an undead world.
Yes. And so 4 of these Alibriums are denoted by the large elongated craniums that protrude off the top of their head in flowing what look like guard robes, so red and gold head to toe. They come out first, and then behind them is a 5th Alibrian, another Necrovite. As they head towards you, he looks a little bit different. He's wearing gold with red, so the reverse. As they head towards you with purpose, shuffling towards you, and stop in front. And the 4 guards part very kind of ceremoniously, not threateningly, just very kind of rigidly, militaristically, and they part. And the 5th one steps forward, and with his skeletal face, so there is no emotion, there is nothing that you can particularly read on his face. Greetings. Welcome to the Eoxian Embassy. My name is Gevalask Nor.
Greetings, Gevalask Nor.
Greetings, yes.
We were tasked to bring this Lashunta woman, Sifell, back here.
And there is a very considered silence as he is always looking at the person who is talking. It's very clinical. Stares at you and then looks up at Zahak. Is that Sifell?
That is she,
Is she dead?
to our knowledge and training. Yes.
May I see her?
Zahak?
Zahak will drop the body on the ground.
Jesus!
And it clatters with a clomp that reverberates throughout the room, and Gevalask steps forward and kneels down.
Sifell was a friend.
I appreciate this. A deal is a deal. You have completed what was asked of you. In lieu of Sifell providing you with payment, I will take that upon myself. And he nods to one of the security members to his right, who proffers up a data pad, makes a few choice beeps and boops, and you feel again, like it did before in the rig house, your communication devices inform you that you are indeed 100 credits
That's
richer.
each, right? Yeah.
And we should not be out here. Follow me. And he takes one last moment and places a hand on the shoulder of Sifell and says,
I will be with you soon.
nods to the others, and the 4 of them carefully and consideredly lifts Sifell up and starts to head towards another room.
Clink would like to whisper, psychically whisper, to Pinch. You haven't had a chance to look at that data pad, have you?
Nah, just and then kind of.
Well, you can't
Yeah,
whisper.
no,
back.
that's
So
exactly
you just-
right. Yeah.
No, that's literally what I mean. Just being like out loud, like nah.
And as that happens, Gevalask will look, but turn on his heel and begin to walk down the length of the corridor itself.
I think Pinch
Feel
tries.
free to keep talking.
Pinch tries to turn it into like a, oh, so sad she's dead. Like, nah,
Going off of my colleague, is it customary in your culture to offer condolences.
And I presume, are you following after as you talk?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
He's invited us,
yeah.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you kind of follow along in step. And can you repeat your question? Sorry, because Sean forgot immediately.
Is it customary in your culture to offer condolences?
And he goes, though it may not be within our culture specifically, since our view of death and life differs from most sentient life, it would not be considered rude. Your condolences are welcome here.
Well, then I offer them. I would be intrigued to hear more about what death is in your culture.
And you just hear, very well. And
Here's my...
you head towards the far end, and you go for the next minute or so deeper into the large embassy, and eventually weaving through a few rooms, you head into what appears to be his office, and you see on the door it says Eoxian Ambassador Gevalask Nor in steely silver and black, just emblazoned in block letters, and he pushes it past, and there are two guards that wait outside the door as the four of you enter. And this is an area where, imagine an undead library, if you will. Books line the shelves.
No. Tomes.
Grimoires.
grimoires.
Well, it starts at books,
Yes.
and then
Scrolls.
goes to encyclopedias.
Oh, yes.
And then tomes,
my
and then
gosh.
data pads. It's a whole slew.
Where's the skin-bound...
Necronomicon.
Wait, have you been looking at my character sheet?
They are where you cannot reach them. I'm sorry.
Probably good.
And
For the
Gevalask
best.
sweeps around and sits down at his table, and he says, "You may sit or you may stand. 'Tis entirely up to you." And he offers up to a few chairs which are before you to sit down if you would so desire.
Well, there's more than two of us, but I'll stand.
Zahak does not sit.
I figured.
Pinch will sit and
I'll sit too.
dangle his little legs over the edge.
No.
And he
Clink will sit. Yeah.
he steeples his bony fingers together and places them on the counter. And again, you can't get a read on this necrovite. There's just the glowing green light where the sockets should be that just seem to pierce. And you get a very clear understanding of why people have such an unsavory opinion. It comes across as clinical, as uncaring. There's no way to get any sort of understanding of what an Alibrian necrovite is thinking or feeling.
Even to me?
Even to you. You are more than happy to make a sense motive or a check at any point.
With my minus
But
two.
you are also...
Mine sucks too.
Imagine an Alibrian that is also, by all accounts, a politician.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yep.
And there's not much motive to sense yet. He hasn't laid out his
Intentions or said
Yeah.
anything
No,
other than, oh yeah, we got this body. Follow us.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that he has said, "Come follow us." He could have
Yeah.
been like, "Cool, thanks. Here's your
Bye.
payment. Bye."
There's more to
but
be
there's,
done.
There's more to be. He wants something from us, and
Yeah.
until we find out what there is, I don't think there's much point in.
No.
No,
Oh,
no. It's more
absolutely
just
not.
as an android, androids always have a minus to sense motive
Yeah.
because their effect is quite flat and people often find it hard to understand what they're thinking. So it's like, wow, even to me, this guy's hard to read.
There's just there's no exchange of emotions going on here at all.
It's just Arda and Gevalask are just two blank
Arda
faces.
going, here is the body, and him going, here is the money.
Everyone around is like, what the hell is happening?
Zahak nods and is like, yes, good.
He looks in turn to the
transaction.
four of you, if I may. What did occur before this? What happened to Sifell?
Well,
Can I flag? Does she still look like a human?
No.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thought
Yeah.
I'd check that.
Yeah. Basically, the way that disguise works, one of the ways it comes is through hollow skin. So as soon as it was kind of damaged,
Right.
it went away.
All good. I just
Yeah,
wasn't sure
reset.
when that happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
when she went down, I
Yeah.
imagine she
Probably.
kind of reverted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Because I put
It's
it on
fizzled
her
out.
skin. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good catch, though.
If I may start at the beginning, we are a crew of a ship looking for honest work, and Sifell had a job for us. she wished to be escorted here to you. She seemed to be in quite a lot of distress. She was being hunted,
Watched.
and she was right to be afraid. We were ambushed by five or more agents who were waiting for her in the free markets, of all species, all different kinds, and they were hell-bent on ending her. We tried to protect her. We did everything we could. We put down her assailants, but unfortunately she was killed. But she was very, very clear, should anything happen to her, that we must bring her to you. And that's what we did.
She seemed very comfortable passing. She made no effort to live, and she died quickly, if that is of any concern.
And he takes a moment. Whether he's processing or what, you cannot ascertain. I see. I assume you are wanting to know the reason as to why she specifically was brought here. Unfortunately, I fear that my responses are not going to be as helpful as you would like. Sifell Theareni, for the past few years, as much as I call her friend, and I did call her friend, she has also done work for the Eoxian Embassy, usually within the capacity of public relations or technological advancement, although she was first and foremost a doctor, though not when she worked for us. I knew that she had a past, but I did not ask, nor did I feel it was my place. It seems as though that aspect of her life was one that she would soon forget. As to a reason as to why she was brought here, well, I would like to think that she considered myself a confidant and a friend. And by that, I mean the word confidant, which is slightly different, and I pronounced incorrectly.
Do you want to take that again?
No.
It's
I
hard,
like this take.
it's hard to pronounce things when
Yeah.
you don't have lips.
Sean.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
I
Or
was
a tongue.
When you are a skeleton.
Well, I was
Yes.
going to
It's
say,
just clacking noises.
it's a mystery he's talking at all.
It's a mystic.
He's making some interesting sounds for someone with no tongue.
It's a dialect.
Was there anything that she said to you that could give us any information
Yeah,
whatsoever?
look, I'm going to do it.
You're going to reveal the data pad? Yeah.
There is the matter of her data pad, which she risked her life, our lives to some extent, to retrieve.
Oh, I don't think I was in much danger. I had it covered.
You rarely are, and that is some comfort to me.
Where is this datapad you speak of?
And we all look to Finch.
We all look at Finch.
Like, heads swivel to Finch.
With
Not all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Zahat goes and puts out a hand with a
Oh, right.
money gesture.
Yeah.
I think
Money, please.
Pinch, not being the businessman in this relationship, kind of opens his mouth, then sees the hand and closes it again, and is like, nods.
I'm sure we could be recompensed. Recompensed? What the fuck word am I trying? We're all doing terrible with words.
Yeah.
Compensated?
Remunerated.
Remunerated.
Remunerated, compensated.
Remunerated is what I'm after. I'm
Honestly.
sure that we could be remunerated for the passing of this pad. For, as Ada so eloquently put it, we put ourselves in danger.
Does not 200 credits sit within your communication device as we speak?
I think maybe more is appropriate.
That
Is
vest
not my
did nearly
life
take
and
my
my
head.
others worth more than 800 credits? This is our lives we speak of. Were you there? You who considers her friend? Where were you to defend her or help her or assist her? We strangers did.
As a diplomat, there is only so much I am able to do on the front lines. Thus, those are left to those who are able and willing, and who accepted the parameters of the job that was set forth. From my understanding, were you not?
To escort her? Yes. To give away her possessions? To hawk them? No.
Very well. Yes, the Bugman. No, it's not what I say.
Bugman.
I was simply adding, as you say, as a diplomat, surely you have the weight of the planet of Eox behind you, and a little bit of help to some freebooters who are willing to aid you in this sensitive matter is not too much to ask.
Perhaps another friend need not die if we are out ready to help others.
This sounds like a diplomat role to me.
I
It
got
is going to be...
I got
Zahak.
+2.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
That's Zahak's specialty.
And it was definitely led
Can
by
I
Zahak.
Can I help?
You can help, absolutely.
Do I have to make a
you
roll?
have to roll, and if you succeed, then you're adding a +2.
So I got my diplomacy is I can't. It's +2, so I got 16.
16. And the DC is, I think, 10 for assisting, but I'm not sure.
Don't be mean to this guy. I want to learn more about his culture's religion.
You can just ask me for that.
About his culture.
DC
Yeah.
10. So
DC
yeah,
10.
you
Yeah, so I
succeed, so
help.
that is a +2 to your roll, Zahak.
Cool. I've got, in total, +2.
Hang on. So one.
You get bonuses, don't you, for helping?
So I have helpful telepath. It's one of my feats. When you aid another, instead of gaining a bonus on a skill check, your ally can roll the check twice and use the higher result.
Great.
So
An advantage.
while I say that, I'm also giving a little helpful encouragement. We're in tune telepathically
Yes.
in what we're saying.
Yes.
It's almost like someone pointing out like the best parts of someone's sentence to hook on to for an argument kind of thing.
It's similar to advantage in D&D, but because this is Starfinder, it's legally distinct.
Yes.
From someone.
Good, I'm glad you
for
said
your
that,
roll.
Chris.
That's a total of 20.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Great. What was the roll, by the way?
18.
Delicioso.
18.
And 5 on the
And 5 on the other one.
one. So the advantage presumably
then-
helped.
I'm really glad we didn't.
As per usual, there is always a silence as he scrutinizes. You may think, or maybe he's just staring deep within to Zahak's soul as Zahak gives the look right back.
Zahak gives it right back.
What is it that you would deem necessary to halt the process of this conclusion?
How much does one of your embalming processes take? What does it cost to resurrect the dead? That much. For all 4 of us. We would only ever lose one, after all.
So to be clear, what is it that Zahak is asking?
Zahak is asking for the money amount equal to how much it would take to resurrect the dead. Because spells often cost money to do.
Yes.
Big spells,
Right,
particularly like resurrection
yeah.
spells
You can
and that sort of
ask
thing.
other people to do spells you can't do.
So
for
how
you.
much does a resurrection spell cost?
or
Quadruple it.
how much does like the process of turning a person into a skeleton or embalming them and giving them a proper like burial ceremony cost?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have settled for another 100 credits each, but
I'm also just giving it to Sean as like an opportunity for him to be like, these guys don't care about the dead,
Yeah.
and so it's like $2 because they're going to chuck him in the incinerator, or it's
Yeah.
like it's a couple of $100 because they do revere the dead quite a lot.
It's
and
actually-
give a bit of flavor for
Yeah,
Sean.
and it's actually a process that takes decades upon decades upon decades and costs an immeasurable amount of money to turn someone
Well,
into
then.
a necrophyte. Like, basically, what Zahak is asking for
You just asked
currently
for, like, $1 million.
is millions of credits.
times 4.
Yeah.
And he stares at you and says, I understand you might be unaware of the intricacies of our society. The process of creating one who is living into a necrovite, such as myself, is no simple endeavor. Decades upon decades of hard labor, of time, of effort, of credits. You are asking for an immeasurable amount of credits that is simply not possible.
Could we negotiate?
I'd settle for 100 more credits.
Done. No?
This guy.
Continue on, sorry.
I have fuel to buy and, battery packs.
There is that rattle that won't go away.
There's that rattle that won't go away. I'm rather less philosophical about the situation. I just feel like we deserve a bit more money, that's all.
I do not care for what you do with the dead. I do not give them such reverence as you. But we need a ship. Clink, how much?
For a new ship.
How much money are we asking for? 100, 200, 500?
Well,
This is your opportunity to make a choice.
Now you've done it.
Uh-oh.
well, I personally choose, and personal choice is such a lovely thing to have. I choose to ask that you simply spend another 100 credits each on us, and if you have further employment, that you consider us first.
And so he takes a moment, stares, and looks at each one of you. Here is my offer. 100 credits for each of you. Of this, I agree. And I shall do you one courtesy as an addition. And he steps up from behind his table and he moves over and he looks up a little bit high above the door behind you. And as you look there, a screen starts to pop down. Channel 3. It flickers to life and you see a news report.
Oh, yes.
And you see a very familiar scene as, with the volume off, it seems a reporter,
Uh-oh.
a Yosoki reporter, who you know as Ruffles McFeather.
McFeather.
Ruffles
that's my
McFeather, known Absalom Station
3
investigative
times
reporter,
removed.
is reporting on what seems to be the big, giant combat, basically, that had occurred in the free markets. The
Massacre
melee.
at free markets.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Fracas at the free markets.
And as it continues on, you see, as like a little picture-in-picture, you see another Yosoki plastered on there. The unmistakable mugshot of Pinch. You have been listening to Among the Dust, which is a Roll to Cast production. The best way to find us is on Twitter, Discord, and our Patreon. All our podcasts are on Acast, Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcatchers. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/roll-to-cast. Starfinder and all associated properties are trademark of Paizo Incorporated, authorized through Paizo's community use policy. Two other doors. Yeah, I can hear that.
That's a helicopter, is the reason why it's barking.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's not bad.
That's not Bowser, though.
No.
No. That's right. We won't hear the helicopter, which is good. Or I can erase it out very easily.
Okay.
Give it 2 seconds. Oh, you. What if I just... And a dog comes out from the
Guys,
embassy.
There's a helicopter.
I shoot the dog.
Just one-
There's an undead Eoxian dog here.
I shoot it.
It's like a ghost from Nightmare Before
It
Christmas.
tries to bark, but it just coughs.
Oh, that's cool.